Alright folks, and let us go through all the important changes that are happening in the patch notes for patch 1.24.1. Now these changes are not final, they could be altered in upcoming iteration of the common test, but they're still pretty big, especially the crew skill or training efficiency update. This is a big curve bump to the lower end of playing with like 50% or 75% trained crew, which is a big buff to those newbie players in a sense. We'll talk about the map rework, the vehicle rebalancing. We already talked about the Polish tank destroyers in a different video, but they're average. So let's take a look. But Polish tank destroyers are Chinese tank destroyers with a gimmick, practically, so we already covered a lot. The worst one is tier 5. The best one, in my opinion, is likely tier 8, perhaps tier 9, so that is straight about it. So go over the original Polish tank destroyers coverage video if you want a good summary. I wrote a lot, like 2 paragraphs, but vehicle rebalancing, alright? Panzerkampfwagen Mark 7, Foch B, Super Conqueror, and Minotauro. So I already saw the article like a week back with this one, but they're buffing the German and the French and nerfing the British Super Conqueror and the Minotauro, but the patch notes is a little bit more concise, so we'll take a better look with the actual common test, but it's also on the bottom with the actual patch notes. I mean, Super Conqueror has been pretty oppressive in freaking Onslaught. You'll see a lot of Super Conquerors, but all the way at the bottom, you'll see a better explanation of the stuff. So tier 8, the frontline version, tier 9, and tier 10, but dispersion while moving gets buffed for the 120mm autoloader, better aim time, better reverse speed, better engine power. Alright, so with tanks.gg going from, this is 1.24 to 1.24.1, so we're starting with the Foch. Horsepower per ton ratio is 22.25. Originally it was like 19 or something? 18 and 19, yeah, close enough, but yeah, buff the horsepower, buff the reverse speed. It's more accurate while moving about. 0.13. Dispersion is not half bad compared to 0.16. That's pretty average, but DPM did not get changed. Same goes with the autoloader. Anything about it, so still 2 seconds between each shot. That is still fairly quick, but it is not as devastating as a autoloader 128 on the Waffentrigger. So decent enough of a buff, but I mean, horsepower per ton ratio is nice, but if the gun will have a faster reload, then that will still be, well, then again, 3000 DPM for an autoloader is still pretty crazy. The downside to it is you're exposing yourself still with the cupolas, right? Oh god, the skin. But you're still exposing the driver. Technically that should be a driver, or the commander is in the back, so that's his driver, that's a commander, that is the gunner / loader area, but the cupola on top is still exposed, so at least it's faster. I mean, it's welcome, but the Foch B hasn't been the meta for a long time, so it's fine. I mean, I don't think it will be super good. It's still decent, but it won't be super crazy with the buff, right? It's still fine. Top speed could get like 60 kilometers per hour top speed with like 2000 health and 10 more meters of view range, but it's fine. I say it's fine. It's still a I will say the penetration is still of a medium tank, heavy tank, so it's not crazy. It's like 300mm of pen, so you'll still have to aim for weak spots, but 5.5, maybe 6, still decent, right? Still decent. Alright, let's just not use that one. The subsequent earlier tier gets buffed with dispersion as well, aim time, reverse speed. No engine buff though, unfortunate. Alright, So only aim time and reverse speed and dispersion while moving, but if you already aimed, then you should not be moving about unless you're very close to the target. But 90mm also gets buffed. That's fine. Alright, it's not crazy, but yeah. The Foch has been mostly collecting dust and power crap in the meanwhile. Alright, 𝗵𝘁𝗶𝘀𝗵𝘁 Mark 7. Dispersion of the 128 gets buffed. That's the base accuracy, not the moving dispersion, but pretty hefty. Pretty hefty. 0.33. Aim time buffed. Penetration gets buffed. Engine power gets slightly buffed. Originally it was like 9 horsepower per ton ratio. Now it's like 11 or so, but I don't know. It needs a DPM buff. The downside to the 𝗵𝘁𝗶𝘀𝗵𝘁, where the hell is that you're exposed to the side armor and the support for the turret ring, and that is the main weak spot. 𝗵𝘁𝗶𝘀𝗵𝘁. So DPM did not get buffed, but accuracy buff is welcome, as well as penetration. Engine power is now 11.25 horsepower per ton ratio compared to, I thought it was 9. Alright. That's fine, but yeah, dispersion is still kind of wonky while moving, and you still have the big weak spots for the support of the turret. So yeah, that is the main weak spot right there. Shoot there and you'll pin, but normally you're just exposing your frontal plate to enemy shells. You don't care about lower plate if you're already angled, but lower plate is thick, it's 230, and if you angle it, it's about 300. So don't expose the turret support ring right here. That is the main weak spot. Don't side scrape, just point your front towards the corner like this, with the wall being here. So just point like that and expose your turret only. Also, the mantlet did not get buffed. I remember the mantlet being somewhat weak. Yeah, it's about 200mm on the cheeks slightly. So if you're just directly aimed at the mantlet, you could pin with a high caliber gun like AP round or APCR round. So mantlet did not get buffed. No, unfortunate. But they need to buff this thing. You couldn't. I think you could nerf the lower plate, but buffing the turret support, but still, it's a different playstyle than the mouse, obviously, but better pin now, I guess. Still has less DPM than the mouse, I think. Compare this with the mouse. Yeah, slightly less DPM, but better accuracy now. The same dispersion, but not as good while moving the turret. It is faster and faster to rev, but worst soft terrain resistance. Alright. Aim time is still not as good as a mouse, but you have better accuracy. Alright, fine. I mean, you have 30mm more penetration, so sniping of a heavy tank, super heavy tank. Alright, fine, I guess. Alright. Moving on to the Super Conqueror nerf. I mean, this vehicle has been oppressive. You already know this vehicle has been oppressive. It's my go-to for Onslaught, even though I don't like playing the mode. I mean, everybody plays the Super Conqueror. What the hell is Super Conqueror? Luckily, the Conqueror did not get nerfed. That's fine. Also, the Carnarvon did not get nerfed. Fine. Reload time gets nerfed. Durability gets slightly nerfed, but everything else stays the same. Oof. I mean, you could theoretically jam a shell into the mantlet, and that will pin the Super Conqueror. But it is still a very hard nut to crack, Super Conqueror. But DPM cuts from 2,900 to 2,600 was still kind of significant, but dispersion stays the same, which is already good enough, very good also, but shell velocity stays the same. Engine power stays the same. You get less health by 100, but the armor did not get nerfed. So it's like the assembly, not the assembly shop, the campaign mission object 279 early nerf in a sense. Also like the chieftain nerf. They did not touch the armor. They touched the DPM, arbitrary stats like health and DPM, but thank God they did not change the lower tiers like Conqueror or Carnarvon. But Conqueror already got nerfed once in terms of DPM. Carnarvon never got touched, I think. They actually buffed the Carnarvon with more DPM for the 32-pounder or something, but fine, you can nerf it, but this thing is still oppressive. Even with the nerf, even with the rammer and stuff, it still has the accuracy and aim time. It still has the mobility if you put a turbocharger on it, right? So I wouldn't put it off as that big of a nerf. I still think it's very good. I mean, the only way of you nerfing this vehicle dramatically is nerfing the DPM by even more to like 2,200 or something. But that is kind of crazy though, right? So yeah, it's fine. I'm fine with it. But yeah, the Super Conqueror will still be pretty good. Alright, Minotauro all the way on top. Alright, Dispersion has been buffed for the hull, or movement for the hull, and nerf for the hull traverse. So it's like a half and half. It's not really a nerf. Armoring of the turret decreased. Alright. And velocity of the shell decreased. So it's a little bit slower. Aim the shot, but then again, it's already a close range fighting vehicle. You get more horsepower. And a little bit more or less health. But it's not really a full nerf in a sense. Let's see the armoring as well. Minotauro, original stats compared to common test, but DPM stays the same. Yeah, 0.2 while moving to 0.15. That is still kind of good, but traverse is nerfed. So, but yeah, that is So all the buff from moving goes into nerfing the hull traverse. Counterbalance, but I mean, it's fine. I mean, unless you're being circle strafed, you're less accurate while turning the gun around or turret around technically, but that's fine. I don't think that's a big nerf. Shell velocity. Didn't they say shell velocity get nerfed? Or am I crazy? Shell velocity of the 130 mark. Is that the gold shell? Shell velocity? High explosive anti-tank. Oh, gold shell gets nerfed, so you're not spamming that many gold shell. Fine. Better. I prefer less gold shell buffs. Yeah, I prefer gold shell nerfs. That's fine. That's fine with me. Nerfing the shell velocity of the gold shell to sub 1,000 meters per second. That's fine. Perfectly fine. I mean, AP route is already pretty quick, but yeah, that's fine. And armor and health, but horsepower per turn ratio increased from 12.2 or so to 13.6. Does it need that buff? Well, let's see the armor if it needs that buff, but they say armoring of the turret decreased. So only the turret. Alright. Let's take a closer look. Cupola gets nerfed. I see a cupola difference. Yeah, cupola gets nerfed. It's 220 sloped to about 260 or so. 260 or so. Base is still 300. You're not penetrating the base of the turret. Yeah, 300 still, but yeah, they nerfed the cupola from 250 to 220. So you have a chance of penetrating the cupola, but still a high caliber gun will pin. Back end is 130 for the loader cupola, so try to aim for the back end, but unless it's gun depressed, then there's no shot. Yeah, if it's gun depressed, you're not aiming at the back end of the loader cupola. But alright. So at least you have a chance now, somewhat ish. Still I think 270, 260 or so is fine, right? I mean, there's still trollish periscope in front of it, and that might eat the shop like a space armor, but this thing's still kind of oppressive when you're hull down. I mean, when you're hull down, you're not exposing that much of the cupolas anyways. And it's still relatively well sloped for the cupolas too, so yeah, more still focused on hull down position. That's fine, I guess. But yeah, the armor on the Minotauro is still good, but overall I feel like there are a few vehicles that need a buff at tier 10. For example, the wheeled concept number 5. That sucks. So there are a few vehicles at tier 10 that needs a buff. The 𝗣𝘁 needs a buff. 𝗣𝘁75 needs a buff. The 𝗣𝗆𝘆 is still kind of garbage. But then again, that's what you pay for, the large alpha. So let's quickly take a look at the tech tree. And let me see all the tier 10s. 𝗣𝘁𝗹𝘆𝘀𝗶𝘀, it's a meme, so collecting dust technically. But Badger could get a buff, but doesn't feel that meta-ish. It's mostly a rapid-firing gun, except lower plate sucks. It's not like the E3, where you just need to hit one shell and you'll be fine, but you have to expose yourself with the 123mm for a longer time, so exposing your lower plate. But concept number 5 needs a buff. Centurion is fine. Super Conqueror gets nerfed. French 50B is a niche, but then again, buffing it too much would be kind of overkill. Batchhead needs an ammo buff. This thing has been collecting dust or power crap compared to the T5051, so it was good, but slight buff to the top speed and the ammo count would be a little bit more welcoming in today's meta. But okay, rest of these feels fine, I guess, especially the M4. M4 got like nerfed like 3 times in a row too. E3's fine. E4 could get a 𝗣𝗆𝘆𝘀 buff, but then again, it's always been weak. E5 has been nerfed to the ground ever since the 𝗣𝗆𝘆𝘀 gets nerfed. But the Yo tank could get a buff, but it's going to collect dust. It's still not as good as a Super Conqueror. Buff the health and the DPM. And it could be like another Super Conqueror without the space armor, but T57 has been collecting dust. It's still good with high DPM, but not the fastest compared to a 50B. Patton got buff, replacing the M1 𝗣𝗆𝘆𝘀 for a long time ago, but not as good as a Action X Centurion. No, not with the Dispersion recent buff. Sheridan needs a buff. Sheridan sucks. Sheridan is not a light tank. It's a fat freaking light tank. It's a light medium tank. Sheridan needs a rocket. It needs a 𝗆𝗍𝗆. Otherwise, it sucks. It's not a good light tank. Alright, Russians. K91 could get a top speed buff, but not the most popular of Russian mediums. Object 140 is fine. 430U has been nerfed. SD2 is fine. IS4 is fine. IS4 could use 10 more rounds of the 122. 705A is fine. IS7 fine. 277 has been nerfed. These are all fine. Yeah, okay. Russians are fine mostly. Germans. Go 15. Oh god, this piece of crap. Buff the dispersion on this piece of crap, please. This has been collecting dust for years. The dispersion on this vehicle is 0.4 or something while moving, or even traversing the gun about. It sucks. So it's like artillery practically. Buff this thing. God damn. E50's fine. Leopard 1's fine. Buff the Romantel Panzerwagen. It's the same boat as with the Sheridan, just not as bad, but still. Give it an autoloader, like 3-round autoloader, and you'll be fine, right? But buff this thing. It doesn't compare to a Manticore or even the AMX-13 for 105 for that matter, but blah. Alright, moving about. Chinese. Buff the Chinese rocket tank as well as tank destroyer. These two needs a buff. Light tank could be fine. I mean, it's not popular, but I think people prefer the Russian T100 over the 𝗍𝘁𝗆𝘆𝘀132-1. It's whatever. Yeah, buff these two. These two are kind of underperforming. They already buffed the 𝗍𝘁𝗆𝘆𝘀113 GFT with the shell velocity, but not the armor. So you're still sniping in the back. Or you eat gold shell. Japanese heavy tank. This line sucks ass now. Ever since the high explosive nerf, this line sucks ass. Totally. So, Type 71 needs a better turret, especially the 𝗣𝗆𝘆𝘀. Hori is fine, other than the hull armor, but it's not even close to the Blitz version. The hull armor sucks, so it's not close to a Jagdpanzer E100. I would prefer if this vehicle gets slower, but better hull armor, so you can actually play it, and superstructure armor, so you can play it like a E3 in a sense, but nope. It's a sniper. Still. Czech. Fine. They're fine. Other than like this vehicle right here at tier 7. But yeah, the T-34-100 sucks. TVP VTU. Recently I played it. Give it like 2 more degrees of gun depression from 5 to 7 and you'll be fine. But this feels average. Otherwise, the rest of these vehicles feels fine. Polish, mostly fine. I would say mostly fine. Yeah, they're mostly fine. Polish vehicles are fine. Swedish vehicles. Kranwagen got nerfed. It was the meta. It got nerfed. Most of these also feel fine, right? Fine enough. Give a little bit better top speed on the UDES 1516. That would be great, but then again, it's pretty good camo though. Okay, it's still fine. They nerfed the Projecto. Buff the Riceroni, please. The Rhinoceronte. Give it like a 4-man crew and 200 more DPM with better turret armor for the Mohawk on top. So, yeah, this thing, ugh. This thing has been collecting dust also. The little Mohawk is the main weak spot right there. Or give it better DPM. Yeah, give it better DPM. DPM sucks on this thing. Give it like 200 or 300 more DPM. Make it comparable to the 57 or 50B, right? Just no. Not even worthwhile playing this thing. Well, there you go, folks. I talk enough about freaking vehicle rebalancing. Alright, moving on to the maps. Mountain Pass, redesign, bottom base, eliminate advantage over the upper base. So originally it's a bunch of bushes and trees. They removed the bushes and trees, especially for camping tank destroyers or like 𝗣𝘁𝗹𝘆𝘀𝗀𝗀 camping in a bush, spotting anybody crossing into the base and just nuking them. But there seems to be a slight hill, so you could technically camp like right here and go haul down, but then again, they could just go up the hill and shoot downwards. And it's still better than a bunch of bushes, right? Fine. That's fine. Not bad. Change the position of the rock on the valley. Big ass rock to more of a wedge. So better exposure to haul down over the cover, right? So better for turreted vehicles or even tall tank destroyers shooting downwards. So yeah, you're just not side scraping over this corner now. Practically, that's fine. Karelia adjusted tank destroyer position. What the hell? They give more rocks to shoot into the little hill. That's fine. I mean, better tank destroyers cover, especially with the bushes too. All right. I mean, camping is hard, or defending this thing is easier, and attacking it is harder into the base. But all right. Shooting tank destroyer spots on the bottom base more difficult. Approach from the hill for the bottom team. What, there's a nook? That's it? Oh, more trees right here, but... The rock seems different right here. Better for light tanks? I mean, for this area, right? They lowered the large rock right here, so technically artillery shells could just zip right here in a sense, but can you spot like from here over to here with the vehicles crossing like this area? Maybe. Mines, vegetation reduced for the little nook on the top right corner of the map. That's fine. I mean, just eliminate the bush altogether. No bush. Not even here. Just eliminate the bush. But this bush will shoot into the heavy tanks coming around the plateau. But alright. Better bush cover for the base next to a rock. Uh-oh. Fine. Aloof. Not that important. They don't have maps for these? What? Fine, whatever. Alright. 24 minutes in, the most important update. Crew efficiency change. So I even have a bunch of pictures to demonstrate the change, but they are eliminating 50% or 75% trained crew. So for mostly free-to-play players without spending credits, you have to grind more XP. They removed that. So technically the curve is better for newbie players. So qualification is now changed to crew efficiency. This is the big one. Receive compensation for their XP in the form of crew books. Can we farm lowly trained crews into crew books, like mashing people into crew books? Originally, this was the case with Crew 2.0. We thought about how to milk it in a sense, but it came back. So we'll see in the actual in-game stuff, but renaming qualification, retraining bonus for newcomer, including qualification change, blah blah blah. We'll cover more details with upcoming article. Fine, they'll explain it a little bit better, but I have actually a bunch of pictures to show you. So now, this is the in-game screenshot I took, but basically a summary of the stuff. You still could use like Brothers in Arms and vents and Coca-Cola or consumables to increase the efficiency technically, but added to most recently trained perk. Recruiting a new 100% crew is now free, so there's no XP, but you can buy technically one skill in a sense, right? So we'll check that out with the actual game client. But crew members' qualification can now be changed for free during retraining. Perks are not reset. Wait, originally this costs money. Like really, you have to change. It costs like, was it 400 gold? Switching a commander into a radio operator or something? Now it's free? That's kind of busted. Price of retraining remains the same. There are no additional penalty to XP when retraining crew from vehicles of different types. So from like tank destroyers to heavy tank, there's no penalty. That's nice. So a little bit better of a quality of a life change mostly, but we'll find that out in the game client. Perk efficiency is 100% by default. What? Perk efficiency of each crew member is 100% by default. It has linear progression and contains 100,000 crew XP. Fine. Proficiency indicator. So basically, efficiency is now perk efficiency in a sense, or training is like perk efficiency. You just get less XP for the perk, not really the efficiency training thing. So it's basically this thing. So originally it's 50% to 100% to first skill. They shift all the stuff downwards. So 50% is now 100%, or 100% is a new 50%. And first crew skill is now 100% in a sense. So they shift everything down, which means the curve of the player base skill gets buffed. So original curve is like this, right? You have 50% trained crews to like 7 crew skills or something like that, right? So majority of players have like 1 or 2 or 3 crew skills. So basically they chop off this half and move everything over. But it's not as dramatic on the higher end. So they move everything over. Now the curve looks something like this in a sense. So you get a better performing player base with their vehicle, right? But math, I guess. Crew members who are first in the train can now retrain for other vehicles for free. Those who are second perk is not trained 1% receive a 50% discount on doing so. They need a better dedicated article for this. It's very confusing, but there is a button for compensation, right? So let's do another comparison. I have a few vehicles that I did not play with a little red circle indicating the current server, not the common test. So this is the live server. This is my VK16, the Leopard. So this is my original crew without the buff from crew skill change or efficiency change. It's 75% trained crew without the radio operator. But let's take a look on the common test and see the actual buff to these vehicles or the crews. But here is the Leopard, the VK16. So I did not touch the crew. They're still not trained for this vehicle, but HWK30 100%. So not trained for this vehicle, but 75% training to technically 100% training with a crew skill. Now, even though it's not trained for this vehicle, so efficiency will drop, right? But if you train it it'll be a little bit better. So, yeah. Theoretically, it's a buff, right, to those with garbage crews. But so let's go down the list. Here is the HWK-12 with a trained crew member, but not at 100%, 95%. And let's take a look. So they buffed it practically. 95% crew training to 100% and with 1 crew skill. So theoretically, you get better with stuff like recon, right? Or with like all-terrain driving or something for the driver or gunner or snapshot or something or camo. So theoretically, you get a better crew for the lower end of the curve. But let's continue on the path. So I have my VK3002, the Baby Panther. 1 crew skill, 69%, giggity. And let's see the difference. Now it's more, but not as dramatic for those are underperforming in a sense with 75% training. It is still buffed, right? But you still need more XP per skill in the lineup. So if you have a crew that has no skill, you will notice the difference more than something of a 4 crew skills or 5 crew skill. So XP is still a big factor, but obviously not as big of a change, right? Not as big, but still 30% is still kind of important, or 20-ish% of a crew skill in a sense. So all the training from 50% to 100% are dumped into the first skill in a sense. But 2 crew skills with my Panzer IV-H. So let's take a look. Yeah, not as dramatic. 84% on the second skill compared to originally 71%. So obviously, the more crew skill you have at higher end of the curve, the less noticeable difference that you will see from this buff of efficiency. So it is a buff with efficiency XP dumped into your first crew skill, but or whatever crew skill you're on, but it'll be more noticeable at lower end at no skills for the crew, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So obviously, not as well trained crew gets a heck of a lot more buff than, yeah, basically 1 crew skill training perk, but still pretty prominent. Yeah, 38% to 80-ish% from 0 to 79. So it's still good for the newbie players, but 3 crew skills for my Indian Panzer at 93, 89. And let's check the Indian Panzer, 96. So obviously, less noticeable change at higher end of the crew skills, definitely. And on the cusp, you'll still notice a difference. So 99% training for my E50 on the live server compared to the common test, it goes over the edge into a new skill. So obviously, the higher you go towards the crew skill at the upper end, the more XP you needed compared to 1% to 2% is dramatically less than 98% to 99%. So that is the curve of the XP needed, but alright. And it will not make a dent when you have a very well-trained crew with like 6 crew skills. Doesn't make a dent in that curve line. The XP is not even dramatic. They're not even uptick. I mean, uptick for the 5 crew skill member, but like 2% compared to nothing. Maybe half a percent or something, but yeah, nothing practically. So that is the big difference. I mean, it is a buff to the lower end of the curve, and they'll explain it better, but let's see if we can mash them into crew books or milk the system. So there is a conversion thing of undertrained crew members will be available for conversion. So you can obtain crew books by converting undertrained crew members in the barracks. They're less than 100% for a crew skill, does not have a 0 perk, not unique like Arnold or Chuck, but crew members to be converted, they're just under 100% crew training. So theoretically, you could have a bunch of 75% trained crew, right? So let's go down towards. Can we see the Panzer HWK, Panzer IV-H? So we just covered stuff like the HWK-30. But I'm thinking about ways to milk this stuff for all its intended purpose. But 187. How the hell do they come up with this number? So 75%. It still has to be a 100% crew, right? Currently 100% crew. All crew members who do not have the XP to train their first perk to 100% do not have a 0 skill perk. These crew members, stuff like the premium tanks, are currently 100% on my live server account. So they have been downgraded to 83%. So theoretically they have no skills, but they're currently 0% efficiency. They're turned into 83%. So what that means is, if you have enough of any crew member at 100% training currently on the live server, they could be turned into crew books. So I never play with the Obsidian or K2's default crew. They're currently 100% crew training, but 0 skills, like stuck at 0% for the first crew skill on the live server. But with this conversion, they could be turned to crew books. So what that means is, if you grind and train a bunch of crews into like just basically under 1 skill, right? Above 100%, but under 1 skill, they could be turned to crew books. Like my old premium tanks crew, like 3 vehicles, premium tank crew, they'll be turned into crew books. Alright, let's convert and see how many books I get. Actually, they tell you. How the hell do you have more training manuals then? Germany has 2. UK has 1. So what's the difference between Germany and UK? Germany, I don't see any difference. Why do they give me a bigger manual? Is it because the total? I think it's because of the total. I have more crew members, so they basically put all the skills, all the XP needed into 1 point and divide that into the crew books. So they're just using the biggest number of stuff to divide. I obviously have less British crew to fit into a crew book in a sense, so you get. But also be wary. What I just noticed is that this vehicle, Mr. Chad, he is a special crew. They do not consider him as a special crew, but he is a special crew. He is from the Lancaster car event. He has a different skin, even though he doesn't have the 0 skill perk or anything special other than the visuals. But yeah, all right, fine, whatever. So once you confirm everything, it'll change everything, change everybody into books. So theoretically, you could milk the system, right? You could milk it for all the crew books. Convert. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, still better than nothing, right? But I'm still thinking if you can milk the system by just currently training a bunch of crew members and having them stored in the barracks and then turning them all into crew books. Wait. Crap, I did not put vehicles. Yeah, you could. Can I send them all to barracks for vehicles like this, where they're not 100% trained originally? Can I still convert? I mean, they could be turned to crew books, right? Theoretically. No? Alright, so it's a one-time deal. Yeah, it's a one-time deal. You can only use conversion once. So provided if you have enough bunk space in your barracks, you could theoretically put all the 100% crew trained back into your barracks. Like for example, for my HWK-12, where originally it was at under 100% crew trained. So when they switched, theoretically you could put all of these back crew members, right, into the barracks, and they'll be converted into books. So as long as you have enough barrack slots, theoretically, I mean, if you have a lot of barracks, you have a lot more book or chances for more books, right? Yeah, we'll play with this thing a little bit more with the upcoming iterations. It's so the biggest takeaway is for garbage train crews, put them all into your barracks. Like you don't want any of them anymore. Put them all into your barracks, and they'll be mashed into crew books. So the more barrack slots you have, the more books you get, right? Even if it's 75% crew, right? So it's like using the money you train for a crew into crew books, which is pretty good if you're just using credits for actually buying crew skill books. All right, fine, whatever. I'm making a big deal out of it. All right, enough. We'll talk about this later on, but I think that's the way to milk this system. Postmortem mode. All right, kill cam. All right, fine, whatever. There's a mod for it for like 5 years now, 7 years now, so it's not the craziest. You can turn it off in the settings if you don't like it, but go to settings. My voice is cracking. Postmortem mode. Show the moment your vehicle was destroyed. So you can just go back to your default of showing only your vehicle, but there's a mod for it currently. It's nothing special. Alright, fine, whatever. Final season of Onslaught, I don't care, blah blah blah. They're making a few adjustments to rating points for Iron rank. So if you're stuck at low elo, that's what the kids are calling it, but you get more points now and lose less points if you're defeated. So, but still, I hate this system. I prefer chevrons. Surprisingly, I would say it. I prefer chevrons over the rating stuff. The rating stuff sucks. I actually prefer chevron, even though chevron still sucks, but I still prefer it over this piece of crap. Alright, improvements to Steel Hunter, better platoon functionality, whatever. Fine, there's not big change. Tour of duty for Clan Wars. I don't play Clan Wars, so you guys tell me, but get the Carro de Combattimento 45T, blah blah blah. And that's practically it. Alright, so yeah, I wasted most time on the crew skills. I mean, you could theoretically milk the system and just buy crew books in a sense, but we'll have to see. It is only limited by number of barrack slots. Alright, so train to 100%, have 0 XP by default. There will be no longer any crew with the crew train. I should test that. I should have tested if you can just put the crews back before you press the conversion button. I should have tested that. Alright. Common 2-digit indicator on the crews called crew efficiency. Alright. Recruited for free. So we'll have to see if you can switch crews for free. That'll be pretty crazy. So let's see if I can switch my crew. Profile, specialization training. Oh, not that training. E50, change from E50 to, let's say, I want a light tank. Can I put light tank? Heavy tank or something. The mouse. So training, perk efficiency after retraining is 20%, 50%, and 100%. So you have to buff the efficiency, right, with XP, in a sense. So it's like a debuff compared to originally. So it's still taking a hit, but you can negate the debuff in a sense with the gold as per usual. But what if we want to switch, change qualification? Oh, it's a special crew. You cannot change qualification of special crew. Give me a split second to change a different crew. Let's use this guy. This guy is not special. Unfortunately. Training. Not training. God damn it. Wrong button again. E50. Let's train for a heavy tank. Let's train for the mouse. Change qualification. So let's change it to... He's a gunner. Let's change him to a loader. So there's no difference. You don't take a hit to the money needed. You only need gold for just basically changing the crew skills, right? Efficiency change is only for... Do you need gold for just actually switching the skill out? Alright, so let's just retrain in a sense, right? Let's just retrain for a different vehicle for now. And let's see the difference after qualification. So we'll retrain this guy. for the mouse. He's gone. He's onto the mouse. But German heavy. So he's at the mouse currently, but God, the new UI sucks. I hate it. Gets so confusing. Where the hell was that guy? He was a loader now. There he is. What? Is he him? You just switch here for no apparent reason. Alright, he was here. Okay, he was the original E50 crew. This perk has no effect, incompatible specialization, so we'll reset. So reset using retraining order, and you can reset the skills. So that's a buff. That's a buff to paying actual money to switch from like a gunner to a loader, right? Just switch the vehicle all entirely. But what about those people who actually pay the money to switch? They get shafted? I think they get shafted. So if you have enough retraining order, you can do this all the time. That's unfortunate, man. That sucks. You'll still lose XP. 20% XP, that's still quite hefty. Yeah, I mean, I think people get shafted if they pay money to switch like a loader to a gunner or a driver to a radio operator or something. Alright. God damn. Alright, now we're able to use their perk, the operation. Alright, I mean, no additional XP penalty returning from vehicle of different type. Yeah, it sucks. So basically, it's a buff to the old crew changing mechanics, but what about those who already paid the money? They get shafted? Alright, I guess they get shafted. So, new information reward screen have been updated. It's a little bit more clear, I guess, but daily mission for newcomers, I didn't see any. Or, technically, I'm not a newbie, so that's out the, yeah, of course. Tour of Duty update for Clan Wars. You guys will find out the difference. Alright, Steel Hunter. Slight nerf. Actually, more consistent damage for airstrike of the French light tank. Okay, the pattern. Visual extend. Healing panel notification. Updates the mental audio. Blah blah blah. So many resources dumping to a mode that not very popular. Okay, whatever. Onslaught. J-Pegasus, rank system, rental vehicle, blah 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 blah. Don't care, nobody cares. Rating points for iron rank, so bottom of the barrel. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Some of the skills has been buffed or nerfed in a sense. Bonus view range has been increased from active recon, blah blah blah. And still not enough incentive for me to play Onslaught, other than the free bond improve hardening, which you get at the mission track thing. But alright, map change, expirable personal reserves. So they want you to really play the game, otherwise you'll lose out on expirable personal reserves. It doesn't matter. With the amount of personal reserves, if you have been playing for a long time, it doesn't matter. Look how many, 1,367 hours. I mean, granted, that's like a drop compared to how much I've been playing this game for, like freaking perhaps 10,000 hours I spent on World of Tanks, which is insane. Alright, other changes, that's fine. Stuff nerf and difference. I saw, wasn't there like a, it's for Onslaught, there was a improved or bond improved aiming for this stuff. What the hell? So they added a new bond equipment to Onslaught, but I saw it once. So go to the garage, Onslaught. Go to reward track. Go to the Onslaught shop or rank shop. And this is a new bond improve aiming, but it will cost 6,000 bonds, similar to the turbocharger. Yeah, similar to a turbocharger, but goddamn. I don't think it's worthwhile. I mean, it's very niche of equipment. Most medium tanks or heavy tanks or even tank destroyers don't use it, other than, say, of a E3 or something, or the 𝗣𝘁𝗹𝘆𝘀𝗶𝘀 or the 4005, right? But this is very niche compared to like a rammer. Rammer is ubiquitous, or vents, or optics, right? Even turbocharger is more common than the need of improved aiming, but hey, it's up to you. Well, there you go, folks. God damn, it's been a long ass video. Holy crap. So yeah, the biggest takeaway is crew skills. Crew skill change is the biggest. It's not crew 2.0. You're not using like one crew member for 3 different vehicles. That's not the case. But that's not the case. God damn, it feels bad for those who already paid money to switch from like radio operator to a driver or something. But progression of the times, I guess. So I'll put timestamps in this video. There's so much to go through, but it's technically a buff across the board. But it will make it slightly more, well, does it make it more difficult? So you cannot pick on the lower end of the curve for like personal missions, in a sense, right? So you cannot pick on a 50% crew baby at tier 8 with your 7 skill tier 10, right? For farming of damage for like personal missions. So less opportunity to do that, but you're still getting the buff in terms of XP, just not as noticeable for your 7 skill crew. Well, there you go, folks. Oh god, it's been a long ass video, but surprisingly big patch for a 0.1 patch in a sense, right? It's 1.24.1. It's not, technically should not be a big patch, but hey, it's a big patch. But as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.